Is This a Great Game or What? With the Hall of Famer Tim Kirkshin. I'm his son, Jeff Kirkshin, and our guest today is none other than the ringleader of the biggest thing in the world right now, Jesse Cole of the Savannah Bananas. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Fired up, my man. What a great intro. I'm feeling energy. Let's do this.
Jesse, you are wearing yellow today. Do you wear yellow every day? Do you have anything else in your wardrobe that is not yellow?
Surprisingly, I do. When I'm in full dad mode and not in run this crazy baseball circus mode, I am not wearing a yellow tuxedo. But I do have 9 yellow tuxedos now. I have a full closet. I've got about 70 top hats everywhere. If you came into my house, people would be like, "What is wrong with this guy?" And I get that question every day, regardless. But yes, this would definitely cement that with my attire these days.
Right. How old are your children, Jesse?
7, 7, and 3, turning 4 soon. So we are, we're foster parents that we adopted our 2 young girls, and we had biological sons. So they are running around. They travel the country with us at all these cities, and it has been a wild ride, to say the least.
Dad, the bananas are so helpful to communities. And I went to, and we're going to get into me going to the game in Philadelphia. It was amazing. It was incredible. But all of a sudden they take a break between the innings to talk about their charitable effort, Bananas Foster.
Of course. What else would we call it? Of course it's Bananas Foster.
How great is that? They're doing good for the community, and it's a pun. We're here for it.
Well, I appreciate it. That's I'll tell you, that's my wife's heart. And, she realized there's 400,000 kids in the U.S. that don't have a permanent home. And we're like, we got to do something. And so, we decided, a lot of nonprofits, they talk about all the bad. And we say every single night, we highlight a foster family in that community that's had we've got some that have 100 kids that have come in their home. They've adopted 4 kids. And so they get standing ovations. And so, there's only one name for it. And of course, Bananas Foster. So that's a fun moment that, changes the tone a little bit in the game and understand that, hey, our job, just like Bananas Foster, is to bring people together and make them feel like, that they're a part of something. And so we feel really proud of that.
Jesse, when I met you a few years ago in West Palm Beach, which was, I'll tell the whole story a little bit later in the podcast, but you told me, help me here. You told me when you started this venture, it's like you and your wife, who you just mentioned, had no money to do this with. And now things are going great. Explain that again, what a financial risk this was for you and your wife to put this together.
Yeah, well, I think, everyone sees all the social media and the national attention now. But when we first started Savannah, I mean, we only sold 2 tickets in our first 3 months. And, it was a wild venture. I had run a team in Gastonia, North Carolina for 10 years that was failing. See, you guys don't know. I mean, I started as a GM of a team at 23 years old. And the only reason you get a job as a GM at 23, it's the worst team in the country. No one wanted the job. So we took it over, and there was $268 in the bank account, 200 fans coming to a game. So I ran that team for 10 years. Now, luckily, we brought them to 4th in the country in attendance, made them very successful. And so I learned a pretty good amount over those 10 years. But then we're like, all right, let's start a team from scratch, Savannah, Georgia. And then we proceeded to fail miserably. I mean, we were getting hung up on every day. They had minor league baseball for 90 years. And we were, back then, a college summer baseball team. So they're like, why are we giving these guys a chance? We had professional baseball. You guys aren't even professional. And so, on January 15th, 2016, we got the phone call that we overdrafted our account. We were out of money. We had nothing left. And so Emily turned to me and said, Jess, we have to sell our house. And so we just got married that October. So what a great husband I am. Within 3 months, we're out of money and we got to sell our house. What a great provider I am. And so at that point we had to sell our house, and we found a little dump it was an old garage that they said it was a studio, but it was the nastiest place I ever imagined. Emily got an airbed, a twin airbed, not even a queen or a king, a twin airbed. And we were grocery shopping with just $30 a week for 42 meals. And guys, that's not real food we were eating. No. This was you go to what these things out of boxes. And yes, we had ramen noodles when we were lucky. But that went on for months until we changed what we were going to do. We were going to get attention, and we had to get people to believe in the experience.
Well, how did you do that, Jesse? What was the epiphany that you had that this, other than having no money left, when did you decide we have to be entertainers here completely? What went on in your head for that?
Well, for 10 years in Gastonia, we learned that. Yes, I mean, we started doing grandma beauty pageants in our team in Gastonia. We had flatulence fun nights. We had salute to underwear nights. I mean, guys, we tried it all. Dig to China nights, where I actually buried in the infield dirt a trip to China, but it was just a one-way flight to China and no accommodations and no flight back. We're gonna get to China. I learned everything behind me, guys. There's probably 2,000 books. I've read every book: P.T. Barnum, Walt Disney, Cirque du Soleil, Jeff Bezos, Amazon. Just obsessed. And for 10 years in Gastonia, we did it. But when we went to Savannah, we were a little timid. There was professional baseball when we first started. And so we were marketing like everyone else. We were trying to kind of fit in as opposed to stand out, which we did in Gastonia. And at that point, no one had ever seen our games. So they just hear, oh, yes, our players are going to dance. There's going to be a banana baby that we lift up in the air before every game. And they were listening to it, but they hadn't experienced it. And so because we were all talk, it was just like, sure, every team says they're going to be successful coming to Savannah, and then it never happens. They failed. So for us, it was like, we got to take a chance. We got to name the team something so different, so not generic, and think big. And so when we named the team the Bananas, that's when we got the first level of attention. And people don't realize that. Our first shipment of T-shirts, we misspelled our own name. We had too many M's in banana. Like we failed every step of the way. People don't know this. And but luckily that got attention, and we were on like SportsCenter said, "Is this the logo of the year?" And nationally, people were like, "This is a fun name." Locally, you're an embarrassment to this city. You'll never sell a ticket. How dare you call us the Bananas? We were crucified on St. Patrick's Day. We were literally, they have a huge St. Patty's Day parade in Savannah, like a couple 100,000 people. We were walking down the streets wearing green banana shirts. We were getting booed. Imagine walking down the street just getting booed. I was like, this is a whole new feeling. Like we hadn't even done anything. But we had got enough attention. And then we knew the name of our company is Fans First Entertainment. So we made every single ticket all inclusive. Every ticket, all your hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken sandwiches, soda, water, popcorn, dessert, no ticket fees, no convenient fees, no service fees. We built our own ticket platform for $15 total. And so we convinced enough people to come out to the opening night because they were at least getting all the food they could want. And we were wearing green uniforms because we weren't quite ripe. And which is true. Literally, opening night, we wore green uniforms. And we played terrible, but they watched the Banana Nanas dance. They watched the Banana Baby. They watched the Banana Band. And then after that, they just started telling everyone, this is unlike anything I've ever seen. And that's really started to change for us.
Jesse, you're an author, and I want to, all of this is so evident to what you guys do now on this big stage playing at Major League Park. So I want to dive into that mission. But I read one of your books in which you talk about your dad being a coach of yours around that 12-year-old year, right? And that's such an important year for kids because 12U baseball, that's Cooperstown, that's Williamsport, that's everything. And your dad was your coach. Now, obviously, we're a father-son podcast, so I want to hear a little bit about the fun that your dad brought to the team.
Well, let's just put it in perspective. So I was an only child. My dad was an only child. My dad's dad was an only child. My dad's dad's dad was an only child. So something's going on with just having boys. And so my parents got divorced, and my dad raised me. And, I was a very shy, introverted kid. So, he got the opportunity for me to be bat boy for the Red Sox as an honorary when I was 5 years old. And I was that shy, introverted kid, didn't like baseball, just 5 years old, just trying to figure it out. And I sat in the dugout waiting for my moment. You tip your hat, you wave to the camera, whatever. And then a player sat down next to me, and he spent 20 minutes with me. And he gave me my first Fans First moment. And it was Hall of Famer Lee Smith.
Really?
And there's a picture of that. And after that moment, I went to my dad. I said, Dad, I want to play baseball. I want to play at Fenway Park. I want to play for the Red Sox. I had this big dream, and I was all fired up, and that changed everything at one moment. And my dad became my coach, but as a T-baller, he wasn't coaching. And I came that shy, introverted kid walking up to the plate that first time, dragging my bat. But my dad yelled from the sideline, Jess, swing hard in case you hit it. And every time I came up, my dad would say, swing hard in case you hit it. And that mindset stayed with me. And so, yes, he coached me when we were 12 years old, and literally a little tiny town in Scituate, Massachusetts. He had all our shirts say Williamsport team. He had us believe that we could go to Williamsport. There was no chance we could ever go to Williamsport. But somehow we went to the state finals. and we were a couple pitches away from going to winning a few more games and going to the actual Little League World Series. And so he built this belief in doing things big, doing things differently. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him and his support.
And I think it was so cool, Jesse, what he instilled into you was it's about the team, son.
Yeah.
It's about the team. It's not about you. You would do interviews, you would throw a no-hitter, and he would go, well, remember, and you were talking about the defense, not talking about your slider, right, at 12 years old. I think that's so important because the Bananas are a team. That's what it's all about.
I'm impressed you found that. That's what you're referring to. Yeah, because we went all the way to state finals, so we were getting media. And yes, I threw a no-hitter, hit home runs. And I was like, the team played great defense today. We really, and my dad always taught me to talk like that, which is so funny because now I teach the guys to celebrate over the top more than anything because it's the exact opposite. Like my dad was like, Jesse, you hit a couple home runs, act like you've done it before. I'm like, no, if you hit a home run, I want you tumbling, doing backflips. I want you doing everything to create as much attention as possible. So it's the exact opposite of what my dad taught me. But in retrospect, my dad is converted. He goes, no, because you want to have more kids look up to these guys. And because baseball players back in the day, you guys know, you'd have Hideo Nomo, you would have Ken Griffey Jr., the hat backwards. Every guy had this unique thing about them. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the players, they're all throwing 100 miles an hour, but there's not the intricacies as much as there was. I want guys, right now, we've had thousands of kids dress up as our players at Halloween. And they do the different things, the different outfits, the different attire, the different looks. I think that's good for building fans, is to give them the opportunity to just see things and do things differently. So we've converted completely from the way I used to be.
Jesse, I was impressed the first time I met you that you had a playing background beyond a 12-year-old. So you played collegiately. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was, very different times back then. You threw 90 miles an hour 25 years ago and you stood out a little bit. So I was very fortunate. When I was in Massachusetts, I was one of only a handful of guys throwing 90 miles an hour. And so Boston College offered me a scholarship. Northeastern offered me a scholarship. But then Wofford came out of nowhere with a huge scholarship to go play Division I down south. And they were like, we play South Carolina, we play Clemson, we play Texas A&M. I was like, this will give me an opportunity to get better. And so I went down there. Literally, I was SoCon Player of the Month my first month as a freshman. I was two-way. I was pitching. I was hitting. I would pitch and bat fourth, and I was on top of the world. I threw 90-plus innings as a freshman, batted 300, and then I started putting a lot of pressure on myself. I was the biggest scholarship guy Wofford ever had. I was pitching every Friday night. I threw so many innings. I'd go in the summer, and I was MVP of a collegiate league. So I started hearing from scouts. I started getting letters from 4 or 5 teams. I was like, I'm going to hit this opportunity. And then on my senior year, I tore everything in my shoulder. And Dr. Andrews actually gave me my surgery. So they got me in with Dr. Andrews trying to get me back. I pitched against South Carolina my last time. They were number 2 in the country. And I threw my last changeup. Justin Smoke popped up in foul territory. And I walked off the mound and Coach Trail hugged me. And I knew that was the end of my career. And luckily, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it was then that I got into the front office shortly after. And see where we've gone with that.
Yeah, Jesse, the other thing that's really impressed me in the game I went to in West Palm Beach was it was clear to me that these were baseball players first and then entertainers, carnival acts, whatever you want to call second. And has that been the philosophy of yours from the beginning? You have to be a baseball player first?
100%. And I think, Jeff Bezos says this all the time is you have to be willing to be misunderstood. When you're doing something dramatically different, you're going to be misunderstood. And I think most people, when they see us on TV or the social media, they're like, oh, it's all a circus. They're just dancing. They're doing this. These guys are unbelievably talented. We have first rounders, second rounders, third rounders, fourth rounders. We have numerous guys that have been high draft picks that are playing for us. And and it's a bunch of college guys. And you guys both know, think about this. There were 50 rounds in the MLB draft. There's only 20 rounds now. There's 30 rounds of guys that would be drafted playing in all these other minor league teams that don't exist anymore that are now playing banana ball and learning how to entertain and put the fans first. So, and I'll say, Tim, the level of baseball in the last 2 years, we're getting 1,000+ players to reach out. Numerous guys in AA, AAA, some guys that even have contracts are reaching out. What's happened over the last 2 years, the level of ball is dramatically increasing, and I think it's going to continue to.
So, Jesse, when my dad called me and said, hey, I'm in spring training and I ran into these guys in an elevator. They say they play for the Savannah Bananas. Now, this is a self-serving question, so Dad, I apologize for it. And by self-serving, I mean serving to you. Did those players come to you and say, we ran into Tim Kirkshin, we invited him to the game, can we get him in the booth with Biko, who is a friend of mine of Syracuse University, right? How did that connection get made that quickly?
Exactly. They said, Jesse, would you? I said, yes, 100%. Bring him out, because I love people to see it in person. Once you see it in person, it changes a lot of things. And that's why you guys have seen, we've had 100 professional players play with us now. I mean, we're having MVPs, Cy Young Award winners, All-Star. Once someone else sees it and tells them, like, no, this isn't a joke. This is the real deal. And so I was very grateful for you to be able to come out and see it. The crazy thing, that was the first game of the year for us. We hadn't done anything. Like, we were not in rare form right then, and to see it, and I thought the guys did a pretty good job for the first time out.
Yeah, so Jesse, I did an inning on the radio that night, and not knowing all the rules of banana ball, I'll be close on this, a guy hit a home run to lead off the bottom of the third inning, and everyone ran off the field after a leadoff homer in the bottom of the third, and I have to ask the play-by-play guy, what's going on here? Because I've never seen it before. And then he explained on the air, this team won the inning so those things happen all the time. You confuse people a little bit like me, correct?
100%. You know, the formation of the rules is really crazy how it happened. It was us watching many years ago how people reacted during baseball games. And so what people don't realize, it's like, we didn't just like, oh, that'd be a fun rule. I watched the fans and reactions. We were actually, one year, we took videotape and pictures of the grandstand the entire season, every 30 minutes, to see when fans were getting up and when they were leaving. And what we realized was that at 9 o'clock, there was a big influx of fans leaving at the 2-hour limit. And then at 2:30, good luck. You'd lose 20, 30%. And you guys watch a regular baseball game that's not playoffs, the same thing happens. They get there later, they leave earlier. So we watched that, and I just kept looking. I was like, all right, a blowout. I'll never forget the night that I proposed to Emily, my wife. We were a college summer team in Gastonia, North Carolina. We didn't have our new Savannah team. And I had this big proposal. It was a sold-out crowd. I had her family there, my family, all our friends. And they scored 9 runs against us in the first inning. So fans are already like, this is the worst. Like, everyone's sitting there. I'm like, I'm not proposing till the 7th inning. Like, people are going to leave. They're not going to be here. This is a 35-minute half inning. And so that moment, I was like, I never want to see a blowout that people think the game's already over again. And so we said, what if every inning counts for a point? And we make it so every inning, and it always comes down to the last inning, because you can never have a blowout. And so you have to experience things. And I was experiencing even that from the fans' point of view, thinking about Emily's family, thinking about my family, my friends. I was like, they're like, you got to be kidding me. This is the 7th inning, and I got to sit through the next 6 innings for this. And so it's that mindset that really guides us in every decision we make. And that's how we come up with all our rules.
Right. How many of these ideas, Jesse, are yours? Or do your players occasionally say, how great would it be if I wore a diver's helmet in center field tonight, which just made me laugh out loud?
Well, to talk about that, when we were in Salt Lake City, I'll never forget this. Reese Alexiadis, a guy who hit 29 home runs the year before in the Frontier League, MVP of the league, was unbelievable. We go to Utah. You know, they're known for their skiing. So we work with the U.S. ski team, and they get him a full ski outfit, like full ski, boots, everything. And we're towing him in, and he's skiing. He's never skied before in his life. He's from California, all right? So he's skiing in, all the way in, bending over. Luckily, he fell when he did this in rehearsal. I was like, please don't fall, please don't fall. And he's wearing ski boots. He's skiing all the way in, all right? Then he kind of walks up to the plate in his giant ski boots. First fastball, like 92, swings and misses, no chance. Next one, the guy tries to throw a fastball by him again. Somehow he gets his timing, hits a ball 430 feet straightaway center off the batter's eye. And I'm in the stands because I'm getting ready to do a sing-off. I'm jumping up and down. Fans are kind of cheering. I'm like, you don't realize how hard that was. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And so, yes, it's like I think about all these moments that happen and these guys. And so, yeah, the players, to answer their question, the players probably are involved in the ideas. At first, it was me and like our creative team, like 3 or 4. Now we have a submission form every Tuesday, like Saturday Night Live, which they're Mondays. They have their pitch session. Tuesday, today, is our pitch session. So we have probably 200 ideas sent for our 2 tours right now. Players, broadcasters, marketing, interns, content. And then we go through a pitch session. Then we start writing. Then we do a table read. Then we start doing our scripts. Then we start going through the rehearsals. Every week, we go through this creative process, and now everyone's submitting ideas.
I went to the game at Citizens Bank Park, Dad, and I genuinely can say I did not look away for 1 second. I didn't want to miss anything that was happening. I mean, when you think about what the human being, I work in radio, Jesse, so I play country music on the radio, and I'm on a morning show, and then I do this podcast, right? And our whole thing is like, don't lose the people, right? If you're going to play a song, tease what's going to come up next. You guys don't miss a beat. You don't give me a second to look down at my phone. You don't give me a second to even look at my wife and say, that was amazing. Oh, something else is happening. Hold on. It's just incredible what you guys do. You mentioned the former major leaguers that have come up to play for the Bananas, to pitch and bat for them. I've seen so many great clips of them. I saw the ones that happened in Philadelphia. What was the biggest reaction from a crowd, and what was the biggest result? Did you ever have a guy go yard? Like, what are those stories?
This is going to shock you. All right. So first, the biggest reaction was last year. The biggest reaction last year, but now we have a new one, was Ryan Howard in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan Howard, we had him as the golden batter, which, Tim, I don't know if you know this rule as well, but again, Major League Baseball flirted with it earlier this year. We have been doing it for 2 years. So I think in basketball and football, you can get the ball in your best player's hands at the end of the game.
Right.
In baseball, your best hitter, David Ortiz, doesn't automatically always come up in the ninth inning. So we changed it so now any hitter can come up at any point once a game. So you can get out in the ninth inning and then come right back up right after. And so we had Ryan Howard be the golden batter. So you got this big gold cloth on, the lights turn off, and no one knows who it's going to be, and it comes off, and it's Ryan Howard. The place went absolutely nuts. MVP, obviously, Rookie of the Year, et cetera. This year, shocking. Now, we've had, Adam Wainwright was huge in St. Louis. Obviously, he was loved. Burley and Przinsky. We've had Gloss. We've had so many guys in each city that have been great. But in Anaheim, Ham Porter, the great Hambino from Sandlot, Patrick Renner. I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. The place lost their mind.
The Sandlot, Dad.
From the Sandlot.
I know the movie. That's unbelievable.
They went nuts, and he went to the bat, and he called his shot just like he did in the movie. I mean, it was an epic moment. That, and it was really crazy. And then this past weekend, Mr. Beast, obviously with 400 million plus subscribers, Mr. Beast got a huge pop. So the players, it's really interesting. Like guys that were so big, if it's 10, 15, 20 years down the road, our crowd is so young that sometimes you'll have a guy, I'm like, he was an MVP. Like, that guy's a Cy Young Award winner. How are people not going crazy? So you just never know. But most guys get a big ovation. Todd Frazier was huge in Cincinnati. I remember that one. That one was a very big one. So because he's younger, because I would say his might have been even bigger than Sean. They were both really big, but it's the younger guys that people really resonate with.
Yeah, Jesse, we've had Todd. I work with Todd Frazier, of course, and he's become one of my best friends. And nobody makes me laugh like Todd Frazier. He's the biggest 12-year-old in the world. He embraced every second of this, I assume, right?
Oh, the guys are great. I think what people realize is that, it's my biggest thing. I tell every player that joins us, not many people get to have the Derek Jeter farewell tour. Where they get to go to every stadium, they get to say goodbye, everyone knows they're done. Most of these players have a tremendous career. They worked their entire life for this. And then that last time, just like me, walk off the field, give a few people a hug, and no one knows that's it. And so for me, the moment, I'll never forget, Jason Kipnis, this is where it really started to hit home. Jason Kipnis and Shane Victorino. Jason Kipnis, obviously in Cleveland, loved, 3-time All-Star, et cetera. And I'll never forget, so he told me he retired in 2020. He never got a tip of the hat, never got any moment. When we went out last year at Progressive Field and gave him a shout out, the place gave him a standing ovation, and you could see emotion in his eyes. He got to tip his hat one more moment. For me, every night that we get to do that for a guy, I believe every major league player should have a moment where they get a response from a crowd when they play their whole life in the dedication, 162 games plus spring training every single year. The fact that we can do that, or with Shane Victorino, that his kids for the first time can see him play. And when he got a walk-off hit to walk off an inning, his kids run out on the field and celebrate with him. that brings me the greatest joy. I love that. And that's what we've built so many great relationships, because they get that final moment. A lot of guys, I get a text message after everyone, thank you, like Jack Wilson this past weekend, on what that meant for him in Pittsburgh. And just those things are really, really sweet.
So cool. Now, this is very self-serving, Jesse, but I've been on 60 Minutes one time in my life. And I had no idea this was coming. I know I interviewed with 60 Minutes. They called me on the phone. Leslie Stahl didn't call me, but somebody did. And then I'm not even watching it that night. I must have gotten 30 text messages. I can't believe it. You are on 60 Minutes. Here I've been on television for 30 years, and nobody cared about that. They only cared about a quick appearance on 60 Minutes, and it was all because of the Savannah Bananas. What does that tell you about what you're doing?
I'm not mentally prepared to answer what that tells me, but the reality is, no, it's special, man. It's we had a big dream. I'm very, Walt Disney has inspired everything in me, and that we try to do. And the fact that we can bring joy and get a lot of people to react to it is great. The crazy thing is, I feel like we're just in the first inning. We're just getting started. I really believe that there's huge opportunity to bring this joy to more people. And I think MLB is going to continue to get stronger. And I think we can continue to get stronger and build fans all over the world. So, I never thought we'd be selling out football stadiums. NFL stadiums, back-to-back nights. Like, that's crazy. 148,000 people. Like, you can't expect that. But what we focus on every day is working on our craft. How do we get better? How do we get better? How do we get better? And so, like, what you saw, Tim, 2 years ago, I'd be embarrassed to show right now. I want to look back at something last week that I'm embarrassed to show. It's that continuous improvement that I think all teams should do, not just on their players, but also their fan experience. And if you make the fan experience better, everything else takes care of itself. And that's my obsession. So 60 Minutes, all these shows that we've been on, the Today Show, Good Morning America, it's great, but it's just a byproduct, I think, of what we're trying to do for our fans.
It's so funny. My buddy had tickets to the game for this year's tour at Nationals Park. And he texted me and he said, hey, I know you live in Philly, but do you want to come down? And then he texted me quickly back and said, wait a minute, didn't you see them last year? And I wrote back, I said, unfortunately, I'm not able to make it that weekend, but I know that is not going to be even close to the show I saw last season, because you guys never stay stale. You never let yourself get boring. You always try to change up the product. You're having a pitch meeting just to keep things fresh every single week. Well, I think that's incredible.
And new tours. The league starts next year, the Banana Ball Championship League. People don't realize right now, the Party Animals, they have over 6 million followers. They sold out their tour in a couple hours, their entire tour. And then the Tailgaters in Texas, they're about to hit 1 million followers. They just launched a few months ago. And so we're building each team to build a league of Banana Ball so we can bring it to different parks all around the country and build fans of the game of Banana Ball, but also get fans to come out to watch at a baseball stadium, to become fans of the game as a whole. And we think that's a responsibility of ours. And to do that, we got to make sure it's fresh and not a fad.
Jesse, have you ever tried something and you thought this is going to be great, and it didn't work? It was either too dangerous or it wasn't funny or something. Well, give me an example of something you thought, this is a great idea, and it didn't work.
The living piñata. The idea of putting someone in a costume and having kids with little plastic bats hit them while they throw candy, that was an HR disaster. I could go.
What happened there? Could they not knock the?
They were just. It was just candy everywhere and guys getting hit with. It was just chaos. I keep going. In Baltimore, we did a promotion called Crab My Pants. And we actually put crabs in people's pants as they ran the bases. So that just didn't even make sense. We've done waxing.
It's just the name. I'm a radio guy, so the name, you're like, we got to make that work because that name is too good.
The night before, I said, who's got crabs? We did a promotion called Who's Got Crabs. We did in Baltimore. We hit home with that. We did Razorback. We went to Arkansas with the Party Animals. We did the Razorback promotion, but we actually put shaving cream on people's backs and we shaved their backs running the braces. Like, that's extremely dangerous. So that was the Razorback promotion. I could go on. Brotherly Shove in Philly, where we actually had 4 brothers and they had to do musical chairs, but they had to shove the other brother off the chairs. These are very, very physical. The Boston Tea Party in Boston. I could keep going. There's a lot, but no, but that's what's fun about it. We do things every night that fail. We do 10 to 15 things every night in front of a live crowd. 9 to 11 don't go the way we plan, but we learn faster that way. I'm fascinated with trying to be the fastest learning organization in the world. And the only way you can learn faster is if you do more and you try more and you experiment more. The teams that do the same fireworks shows every Friday night, the same bobblehead giveaways, they don't learn as fast enough as us, who we're willing to try crazy things and that are wild. And like, that's what I love doing. I love learning from that.
Jesse, you are where does this energy come from? This energy, is this from your dad? Was this from your mom? How do you explain being like a complete lunatic like this at the compliment at your age?
You know, first you said this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I love it. And now you said you're an absolute lunatic, but it's good. I love how you put your compliments in between saying things that are very crazy. And
Imagine being his son.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I'll answer that truthfully. When I was in Gastonia, my second year, so I was the GM, kind of president running the team. I was burnt out. I was miserable. I was struggling. And I realized why. I was very fortunate, 24, 25 years old, to realize why. Very simply, I was selling tickets. I was doing all the hiring. I was doing concessions. I was doing operations. I was doing the numbers. I was doing everything. And what I realized is those things gave me very little energy. And when I started, I did an audit. I said, what gives me energy? It's like coming up with ideas, creating, sharing, going on podcasts, speaking in front of people, growing, learning from the P.T. Barnums, the Walt Disneys, the Jeff Bezos. And so I started filling my days with things that are on my energy list. So I created my own energy list. And our team does it as well. What gives you energy? So right now, guys, I'm fired up by plenty of energy because you're giving it to me, because we're doing my 3 things: creating, sharing, and growing with learning from you. And so like that's it. And so I can have great energy at the end of the day to be great for my wife and my kids, because all day I try to fill my day with things that give me energy.
Wow. That is wonderful.
Trust me, growing up with my dad, Jesse, he always loves, he's like a Sour Patch Kid. He's sweet, then he's sour, then he's sweet, you know, but he means it in always good jest, right? Him calling you a lunatic means there's nobody who could have created what you've created in the years you've created it if you don't have a little bit of crazy. All these guys that you're talking about, Jeff Bezos, Walt Disney, they're all a little bit crazy, and that's a great thing, because you need the crazy in order to come up with crab my pants, okay?
All right. So, Jesse, we'll let you go. We could keep you here for hours. How do you think I would look in what you wear every day? Yellow hat, yellow tux. I think I would look idiotic, but you look great in it. How do you think I would look in one of those?
You know, I've worn it so much that people got used to it. I'm sure when I first put it on back, and people don't realize I wore this yellow tuxedo in Gastonia before the Bananas. People don't realize that. So, yeah. And I also did dunk the GM inning. So I used to get in the dunk tank in the 6th inning every game, and fans used to get a chance to dunk me. The record was 67 times I got dunked in one inning. That was I still have water in my right ear. So you have to do things that are a little crazy, and people get used to it. So I'm not going to answer your question like truthfully, but what I'm saying, Tim, is if you wear something that's fun, you do something fun, and you own it, it works. And I own this because this is me. Like this like literally is me. And I believe it gives permission to our team to have fun. If your owner's running around in a yellow tuxedo throwing Dolce and Banana underwear, which we actually have, into the crowd, then I think, why not? You know, why not? Everyone else have a little fun. And that's what our Bananas do. Our dad bod cheerleading squad, to our calendar crew, to our party starters, to every team's different characters. They have fun. And that's what it's all about.
I want to tell one quick story about Jesse. And there's not really a question here, but it's one of my favorite videos I've seen that came out. And I'm not even sure if it came from your guys' accounts or somebody else's. And it's in a parking lot after one of your games, and you're signing autographs. And there's a security person who's trying to do their job, but at the end of the day, they were trying to get you to get the fans to disperse and get Jesse away from the situation when you were signing autographs. And you sternly but confidently said, we're not going anywhere until we sign up. Everybody gets a signature. Everybody gets a signature. And there was this look in your eyes like, you got to be kidding me. This is what it's all about. This is that fans first mentality. You're going to have to drag me out of here kicking and screaming to get me to not sign autographs. And I want to commend you, because I think that's such an important attitude. And you started this, and each one of your players on social media and in person look to you and embody the fans first mentality, because they have a great boss to look up to.
Thank you. Thank you. Remember, this is a guy coming from only selling 2 tickets in our first few months. I will fight for every fan to do whatever we can to keep every fan and make every fan. So, yeah, every single night I sign to the last fan leaves. And it's usually 11:30 at night after our game. And you got to set the tone from the top. And I've learned that from my wife. She is the most caring. She will do anything for our team and anything for the fans. So, yes, we do it. The players do it. We will go the extra mile because it's worth it. And that's what we're trying to do. So thank you for sharing that.
Is it true what I'm reading that you're going to announce 2 more teams next month in October?
Yes, the Banana Ball Championship League 2026 with 6 teams, and we can't wait.
Oh, can't wait for that announcement. You'll have to come on next year, Jesse. Our podcast, we love having repeat guests, and we could, as Dad said, talk to you for another hour. Next time you're in Philadelphia, I'm going to be there with my daughter, with my wife. My wife, who is a recent baseball fan, had just as much fun as I did at the Bananas, which goes to show what you're doing. So, Jesse Cole, everybody, thank you. Thank you,
Jesse. That was an inspiration. All kidding aside, that was tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are the best.